not everything you're going to experience is going to be pleasant. But do you want it to be pleasant? Like, I'd rather experience a story, and every story has its lows and its highs, like a song.
Yeah.
A song has its lows and its highs, and to be honest with you, I kind of think that's why we feel connected to music. It's because it has the low points of a song, and there's something about those vibrations that are parallel to life itself, and that's why I think everything's connected, because music is in a way a story. It's representative of life itself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I think when you're listening to a song, it can sometimes give you an image in your head, or it can put you in a place, because it's almost being summarized by your unconscious, matching that story with something. Or you listen to some techno and you feel very focused, and all of a sudden I know for a fact when I'm listening to some good techno and I'm really in a good trance, I start to visualize and fantasize about various elements of my own life.
Yeah.
And what I've always thought is, imagine if you could pair like your goals. So say you had like an event or something, so like music with meaning. You had like a music event, right? But instead of just going there and just raving, before you almost said like, I don't know, prayer or something where you're devoting this rave to something.
Yeah.
So you went in with an intention. So you were like, okay, I'm going to focus this rave, have a little focus on to the next 5 years of my life where I'm going to try and achieve this. And that is almost in your head. You plant it in your head and you go in to the rave with certain kind of that seeds in your brain.
Yeah.
And that can help. That's like you let the music take that wherever it goes.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I kind of know.
It's like a trip in a way. It's like the same thing with like a mushroom trip. You go into the mushroom trip trying to you almost have a question sometimes, and the trip answers it for you.
Yeah. Well, the times that when I did it when I was younger, mushrooms, I never really had intentions. I always thought this is just a new experience that will take me somewhere else from where I normally am. But the more times I've done it, and the more times I had psychedelic experiences, the more times I realised that there's a bit of a meaning behind it and a bit of an intention. And when you're in that experience so intensely, it teaches you things that you need to let go of. Things like mushrooms. The mushrooms, they want you to like them.
They do.
But if you don't want to let go and not like them, they're gonna make you feel
fuck
a bit.
you up,
they're
man.
gonna make you feel a bit uncomfortable. And they're gonna
suck you in and fuck you hard.
Yeah,
they will. She's a bitch. Mother shroom. She can be a bitch, man.
Yeah, they can be a bitch. They can be a bitch.
Yeah.
But then they tell you just stop thinking. Stop taking yourself too seriously. You know. Stop thinking that you can be in control of everyone and be in control of your own experience all the time, because sometimes you can't.
Yeah.
I mean, I did it quite recently, and that was the one thing I got out of it. It's like, stop being so uptight and trying to control every moment, because sometimes I get anxious because I want to control. I want each moment to go how I wanted it to go, or I'm planning it.
Yeah.
And when it doesn't happen, that's when I get anxious.
Yeah.
But it told me, like, listen, it's not always going to be like that. Well, I remember when I did it a couple of weeks ago, we were just walking down by Hamlands, and we were walking out, and it was quite intense. We were in Daniel's room, and we went out to the main road, and it was like, wow, we're in a new world here. This is completely different. And I was thinking, like, where are we gonna go? What are we gonna do? Where are we gonna go? So I was asking, like, where are we going? Are we going down to the river? So I was trying to plan this moment ahead of me. I was like, I'm trying to plan where we go there, and then there, and there by this time and there. And it just said, stop being such a controlling bitch, and just chill out, man.
You had that thought that just popped in your head.
Well, I was like, suddenly I was like, let's just go sit down over here in this another field. Sat down, and then it started to just click. Like, you are just trying to control too much that you can't control, and that's why you're a bit anxious sometimes, because you're just trying to overthink these experiences and plan each minuscule bit. Like, even in the sense, like, are we going down to the river? Like, why am I trying to think, like, are we doing that? And I'm worried about where we're going to go when we're on mushrooms. Are people going to see us when we're tripping? I was just, all these thoughts were coming into my head, and that was just kind of the problem I had before. Like, before I did it, I was like, right, something's wrong at the moment. I'm not quite right. Lockdown's been a bit of a struggle. Things haven't gone the right way.
Yes.
Uni's been cancelled. Raves are not going on, and it's not how you want it to be, basically.
Of course.
And that the day before I did it, I knew I was going to have a bit of an intense experience. I knew it was going to be like, it's going to teach you something that you need to know at the moment. And that was kind of one of the experiences that I had. Like on the day, I was just saying, stop trying to control things that you can't, because you can't always do that. And like the moment I started to let go,
you get more done. Ironically, right?
Yeah.
The more you let go, the more you can actually control things. It's kind of an ironic thing.
You're in a freer state of mind, I think.
Yeah.
And your thoughts are clearer. You feel more productive because you're not worried about anything. You're not trying to think about what you're doing here and like the next day. I mean, it's obviously good to have an idea what you're going to do, but like when things don't go the right way, don't be worried about it, because there's nothing you can really do about it. Like,
no, you're right, and it is a sweet spot once again. And I know it's a cliche, it's a cop out, just saying it's about the balance. But if you look at yourself as almost, you can be a tyrant over yourself, or you can be too weak on yourself. And it's a line, I think, of being in that flow state once again, where if you try and force yourself to do something, it's actually going to be harder to do it. It's that, I'm not sure, there's a film, is it Annihilation with Natalie Portman? I'm not sure if it...
I've seen it.
I saw, this was an example used on a podcast I watched recently. But it was almost, the more you try and fight something, the harder you push, the harder they're going to push back. So if you let go, then you can resolve it. And sometimes that's the thing with life. You have to, it's like, say if I've got an exam, and I'm telling you, you've got to do this exam, George. Why are you not doing this exam? Sometimes, as soon as I just walk off, grab a cup of coffee, it's going to be easy just sitting down, start typing, easy as that.
Yeah.
Because I stopped trying to be so tyrannical on myself, and I just started to do it. And I was like, well, that was easy. It was almost like I built up the kind of, the whole bit of this is going to be hard was something my ego was telling me, rather than actually what it was. And this applies to a lot of things. And I think once again it comes down to your inner yin yang balance energies, your inner masculine feminine balance energies. And once again, I think it's all whatever you want to call your inner sub personalities. You want to have a relationship with them. You can look at these inner sub personalities as the Greeks had the Greek gods for each emotion or whatever. If you can come and have a relationship with your inner selves, they can come together to create a wholeness. And when you're whole, they can work together and you can actually go and you can be free. And I have this feeling so strong when I'm on mushrooms that I feel free on mushrooms because I get cleansed. It's almost all these battling sub-personalities are there. Then the mushrooms cleanses that. And I feel after a struggle on mushrooms, because there is that period where you feel like you're battling.
It takes you on waves, up and down, makes you feel nice and happy and you're so free and not a care in the world. And then sometimes it just like, whoa.
Yeah.
Just like kind of like what's going on.
It's like forcing something out of you. It's like
something is there, and it's just it's like an uncomfortable feeling, but
it's like you've been cleaned.
Yeah, it's a strange one.
Strange feeling.
It's an experience that if you haven't done, it's impossible to describe what it's actually like until you do it. Like it's just.
It is. It's there. Well, look, the ancient tribes always called them medicine. You know, it was like mushrooms are medicine. And that is the best way to describe mushrooms is medicine, I think. But for me, that's the best way I've come across describing them, because they're not, you do mushrooms, there's not always going to be, they are generally euphoric. Yeah, they're generally euphoric. You feel very good. Obviously you laugh, but it's not always, the whole trip isn't always pleasant. It's not always pleasant, is it? But it's not like it's I've never actually had an intolerable trip.
No, I've had bad periods, but I've never had one where like, you hear horror stories of people completely losing it. Like, it's never really happened to me, because I'm always telling myself like this is temporary and this is happening for a reason. Like there is a reason behind this. Just maybe why I'm feeling uncomfortable. Yeah. But you have to be quite strong-minded to take that experience, because it really does put you out your comfort zone, and it makes you feel like you're nothing in this massive universe that we live in.
Yeah, there's something about mushrooms and nature. They just seem to give you. They just make you. I don't know what it is. It's once again, it's words fail here, but it's almost the great mother nature is just showing her face to you on mushrooms. Yeah. And it's funny how mushrooms are just pure nature. They just come straight from the earth. You take them and you feel so connected to nature, and it just connects you back to that in a strangest way. I know some people think they can talk to birds, talk to plants. I feel so connected to trees and I'm doing them.
Yeah, I like clouds.
Clouds. Oh my god.
Clouds are something I always look up and I'm seeing them different shapes, and I'm so fascinated by the shapes of different clouds, like and the size of them. Like,
oh my god, they make.
And how far away they are as well. Like they're fucking ages away, mate.
But you know what I think when I'm doing mushrooms? I think they're so close.
Yeah, they
That's
look
what I
closer,
get
yeah, I know
sometimes.
what you mean,
I had the opposite.
yeah.
I know what you mean, but it's almost so far it's close. When I did mushrooms in Australia, and I was with a friend of mine, I was looking at the clouds, crying at the clouds. I was crying, tears, mate.
Yeah.
I was literally looking at them. Oh my
Tears of
god,
joy.
it's so beautiful. The clouds are so beautiful. I was crying for so long, and I was lying on my back, and I felt like I could touch them. I was like, oh my god, I can touch the clouds.
I
You know?
can see that.
You know what I mean? I must look like an absolute weirdo.
Yeah,
Just
well,
on my
you
back.
do,
like-
you do, yeah. We were like lying down, all doing starfish, like lying down. I was thinking, oh, people walking past were like, what are these lads up to? These lads must be fucked.
There'll be some wise guy who's back in the he knows.
knows.
There, yeah,
knows him.
there
And
must
we
be
just got,
some
like,
guy
A
just-
speaker, there's
yeah.
a speaker playing between like
Yeah.
all of us, and we're just like not even talking.
He's
But
like,
there are
yeah.
periods when you're in groups, when you're doing it, like you just won't talk at all. But that's the time when you got to think to yourself, like, you don't always want to have to rely on just having social interaction with other people. You need to be quite comfortable in your own skin and your own thoughts.
100%.
Like, that's another thing. Sometimes when I do them, like, I just need to think on my own. I don't need to keep talking to people because you're not always gonna have that. You're not always gonna have someone to rely on to help you. So you need to be comfortable that you can trust yourself.